Hey everybody, welcome to the Phalanx, episode 15. I am one half of your host, Jason Farrow. Welcome to the Farrow's Creative Studios YouTube channel, and welcome to Phalanx. Like I said, this is episode 15. Doesn't seem like we're that far along, but I guess we are. So let me introduce some of my esteemed colleagues. So here comes my co-host, Christopher Michael.
What's going on?
What's up, Chris? What's
Thanks
up?
for
It's like I
having
wasn't
me
even.
on your show there.
Yeah. It's nice to have you on. Like, thanks to your first time, long time listener, first time caller type
Yep.
thing. So
Yeah, I appreciate it. I've just been listening from afar for so long. I'm a huge fan.
it happens.
Your ego is much smaller on camera than I anticipated.
Ouch. All right, let's get the other. We're having a little bit of we're having a light show today. We're just we want to keep it just a few members light small today, but we do have Dennis Valencia might be joining us later. He's doing a whole he's doing the work thing, the work gimmick.
Yeah.
And but he might be jumping in later. But my other panelist today is Jerry from E4 Comics. Jerry, what's up? Hey, what's up, everybody in the comments? Yo, Cam's in the comments. Yo, Cameron's in here. We got Facebook user. I don't know what that is. I'm not seeing their names. Facebook user.
What's up, Facebook user?
Yeah, Facebook user. Get it.
Have to pop on Facebook and see who's on there.
I don't know why that doesn't come through here. Facebook user. Hey, Facebook users, put your names in here so we know who you are. I'm not sure. Anyway, so today's topic, right? We talked about our we put up a little...
and Natalie. That's who that.
Gotcha.
Yep. Hold on, guys. All right, I'm probably gonna fall out and come back in.
It wouldn't be a Phalanx if someone didn't. Yeah, that's like literally the thing.
It's gonna be a good show.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah. Oh man, this is popping over to YouTube. This is up. Jerry's getting all. You see what he's doing? Did you see him in there? He's putting his headphones on and stuff. But anyway, so today's topic, right? Let's talk about today's topic. We decided, well, I should say Chris picked today's topic because we usually go around and pick topics and stuff. And it was Chris's idea to do a topic on advice or how to avoid pitfalls on like making your first comic and or launching your first Kickstarter. And I think we all three of us that are on here have experience in that.
Yeah, the what not to do, right?
Yeah, they definitely have the whatnots covered. And hey Jerry, just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to come back in. No, he's giving me all right, yeah, all right. He's got his
all right.
All right.
Is that better?
Look at that.
Yeah,
he's about to play some Call of Duty right now.
Hell yeah.
So Jerry, we were talking about our topic today. It's how to avoid certain pitfalls and issues when you're either making your first comic book or launching your first Kickstarter, which sometimes are also coincide. So that's what we're talking about today. And I also, before we start, I want to mention that Jerry has your contest announcement for later, right?
Oh, yes, I do.
You have a particular time you want to do that, Jerry?
I guess we could do it like around what time is it now? Around 8:30.
It's 8 o'clock. We started. You want? Let's shoot for 8:45.
Perfect.
I'm gonna do 8:45 p.m. So you're hearing that right here, Jerry. 8:45 p.m. If you were a participant in his draw this in your style contest for his Kickstarter that's launching. Your Kickstarter launches 17th, Jerry.
Yep, next week Thursday.
And that's Burden of Truth, Elements Burden of Truth. And so he has this really cool, a lot of awesome participants. And so he's going to announce his, yeah, they were cool. And he's going to announce his first, second, and third place winners on here, which is really awesome. Before we get rolling and get talking, anybody that's new, that's here, if you could do a favor, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, we love doing this show and we love doing it for everyone. But if you could smash that subscribe button, that'd be great, because that allows us to, every subscription that we have can push us further to eventually making some really fantastic content. I mean, I think we make great content now, but it helps us bring you more. Hit that alert button, sign up for notifications. All that stuff helps
Yes, it
us
does.
in making these, because every social media platform, you are battling an algorithm of some sort. So every content creator appreciates that. So if you could please subscribe, hit the like button, sign up for notifications, that would be awesome. Leave a comment, anything. That would be much appreciated. So yeah, so Burden. So two of my colleagues here, really quick before we touch about Kickstarters, we actually, these both gentlemen are going to be launching Kickstarters. Like Jerry's got one again, as mentioned, February 17th for his next book, and Christopher has one for his next book, Intestinal Fortitude, for his crit series.
Intestinal Fortitude.
Yeah,
Don't shit your pants.
yeah, don't shit your pants. You're welcome. I had to tell him what that meant. It's like I heard it on wrestling.
Brad came
that
up
was
with
like-
it. He was like, "We need to call it Intestinal Fortitude because in Dungeons and Dragons, you have to roll a Fortitude save."
Yeah,
and he's trying not to, throw up, and so he called it Intestinal Fortitude, but just works.
no, that's literally it.
Your pants.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So let's talk about making our first comic. We've all been there, right? And like two of us are artists and writers. Well, I'm an artist writer. Chris is an artist and I guess you're a writer, right? You're doing the role playing, and Jerry is a writer. So we have a good mix here. And we're looking at first comics. Now, I think we should all discuss our very first comic and trepidations heading into that comic, because I know as creators, and we are literally our own worst enemies.
Oh yeah.
So how do you think that, if you have comments, guys, throw it in the comments. We're interested in the comments as well. If you have any questions, you put them in there. We'll put them up on screen, and we'll try to answer those as well. So let's talk first comic. Chris, let's talk about your first comic. Not your redone first comic, but your first comic.
So issue one, not the long lost issue 0.
Yeah, well, my point is, I'd like to talk about what would you do if you could go back and change it. Like, what did you learn that you definitely? Well, obviously you're cranking books out now, so you learned plenty.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah, quite a bit, and you have applied it. That's the thing. You can learn shit all day. Do you apply it? Like, that's the thing. And application is key to success. And so what do you think? Like, talk to your younger self. Talk to a younger Chris Michaels and say, hey, young Chris, this is me, older Chris from the future. And hey, don't be so stupid and don't use those dumb action figures. Like, what are you gonna say? Like, hey, little Chris, I'm just gonna give you a piece of advice. Draw the groins correctly. You'll thank me later.
My wife comments, and she will tell you that she worked hard to teach me how to draw a groin correctly.
That's right.
Looking back at that first book, all right, if you have read any of my books, you can see the growth from book 1, even from the first page of book 1 to the last page of book 1. There's
anime series.
And I'm not going to talk about art, because I think art is if you're an artist, you're going to continually grow that talent, right? So I won't talk about what I learned artistically. I'll talk about what I learned in making the comic book. And I'm a digital artist, right? So when I first started making that book, I was putting my lettering bubbles, I was drawing them into the panel and lettering as I went with my drawing program, which is half the reason I had to go back and re-letter the entire book, because it just wasn't right. And I had made some of those too big. I had made some of them too small. And now there's pages I would have to redraw if I wanted to reuse them, because it's just unusable art at this point. And the way I layered some of that stuff digitally, it made it really hard for the colorist to come in behind me and do a good job. So if you notice, in the first half of the book, there's one colorist, and in the back half of the book, when it gets to more of the action stuff, I had a different colorist. If I could go back, I would have one colorist for the entire book, which I couldn't afford at the time. Luckily, they contrast each other pretty well, and I'm still proud of the way the book came out. But I learned a lot from those colorists on how to layer my art. And so if I could go back, I would have one flat line layer instead of like 20 layers that I handed out. So artistically, that was the only thing I would change. I would not talk about my style or talent because I think that's going to continually grow as we do books. But as far as also launching the book and getting the book in people's hands, I would build a fan base before trying to put a book out. I actually had a book done before I even had an Instagram, and I launched a Kickstarter the day I made my Instagram. So I had no one to promote to, and oddly enough, I got like 30 backers on Kickstarter, and I don't know how to this day I got that without really trying. I think it was because I was at the height of COVID, like right there when we shut down, and people were just going to Kickstarter for books. Now there's so many books on Kickstarter. If I did that, I'd get like one backer if I'm lucky. So for one, artistically, I would just work on my layers and know how to present a book to someone else that's going to come behind me and work on my stuff. Two, I would work on a fan base prior to trying to launch something and dump a bunch of money into it. Because I could have used a lot of that artwork that I had and promoted that book before going to a Kickstarter. Oh, there's Nick right there. That's something I had to learn the hard way. Coming from music, you write a song, you put a song out, and then people like the song and they start following you. So I kind of went the same route. I'm like, well, a book is like a song. Well, really, a page is almost like a song and a long longevity of it because you're putting so much work into just one page at this point. So definitely try and build your fan base. Build your Instagram, your social media following. Before trying to just go to Kickstarter and ask people for money that don't even know who you are. Or else you end like me and it'll fail and then you wind up giving everyone a free book because you feel bad.
Yeah, but again, it was lesson learned and you actually learned the lesson. So you didn't, it's not like you went to Kickstarter twice and failed and then continue to try to make a product, and not learn why you're failing. You don't understand. You don't try to learn why you're failing or why people aren't really interested in your product. Instead, you believe so hard in your product and in your own hype that you will try it once again and more than likely fail again. We've seen that. And so no, you gotta.
I can attest to that.
You
There's
have
a
to
guy
learn.
who, I'm not gonna name any names because I actually don't even remember his name, but I saw a Kickstarter launch that gave himself 6 days to raise 10 grand. And
Wow.
little to no social media following. If you're trying to raise 10 grand in 6 days, you should have some pull, right?
Well,
I know
it
some
sounds
big
like
names that don't pull that.
it sounds like he was maybe thinking Kickstarter did the promoting for you.
You know what? So if you pay attention to Kickstarter, they actually do tell you certain things that might make your project stand out. Like if you have a higher goal, then that's like an algorithm thing Kickstarter looks at and tries to push your thing a little higher up. And I'm
Right.
guessing that whole 6-day thing, the person might have thought that if I make it for 6 days and then I put it for 10,000, Kickstarter's really gonna put my thing on the top.
That's a ballsy risk.
Yeah, that's the miscommunication right there. That's no way how it works. I have to say, like with Kickstarter, it's like you do like 80 to 85% of the lead work, and Kickstarter will do like the other 15.
I will say this: he didn't learn from the first mistake. He did launch another book for 6 days, but this time he only asked for 1,500. But the problem is, and I'm talking about promoting. So things I've learned about promoting your book: don't go on social media and tag people that you never talk to. Do not tag anyone on Facebook just because you want to. That's annoying. That's That's grounds for me to unfollow you and remove you from social media, because I might want to check out your work. That might be cool. If you're someone I talk to, if you want me to check your stuff out, then you want to talk to me. You want to comment back and forth, like try to instigate it. Like Jason's great for that. Jason will go on and
for instigating. Hey. Yes. Yes, Jason is.
You go onto someone's page, and if it's someone that there's so many different creators out there. I'll use Chronic Rangers as an example, because I found them because of a comment that you posted on their page.
Yeah, those dudes are cool. Those guys are awesome. They're literally from Philadelphia.
Right. Like I just saw that you were like, hey man, this is awesome. This is cool. And you created a conversation based off of a mutual interest in each other's work. You didn't just send them your Kickstarter or tag them on Facebook in your Kickstarter, and then that way fill up their notifications when everybody says something.
Yeah.
That kind of gets annoying. And especially if you have 20 people doing the same thing. It's not good. So don't do that. Build your following organically. Don't use bots. That's a good way to ruin your
promote it on so-and-so records. I'm like, this is literally a comic book. But okay.
I started actually commenting on people's stuff.
Me too.
On homebrewcomics.com.
Yeah. That's it. I just write back to them. I'm like, I write like, why though? Like I'm always I just like antagonize them when they do it.
It's how fast they reply. I'm talking about like within like 3 seconds. You have like absolutely. 2 to 5 comments of them telling you promote it here.
I think it was Nick. Maybe it was Nick, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Nick, in the comments. But I'm pretty sure Nick put on there one day on Facebook, like, how do you feel about the bots? And I was like, it helps my algorithm, because I have 5 comments from a little bot, and eventually they get deleted, a few days later. But for the day, it's going to boost my post a little bit. Because
that's how I leave them up too, just for that reason. I won't delete them right away.
Right. It helps.
I'm like, that helps. Yeah.
I look cool for a little bit, and then people realize
I look back. I'm like, yep, they hit that 5. They hit that 5-word minimum. All right, sweet. Keep it up. Promote it on
avoid the November gauntlet.
Yeah.
So
we all know that.
I want to talk about that for a moment.
Right on.
I scour Kickstarter on the regular just to see like when things are hitting and how many books are out, right? And Kickstarter alone is becoming a gauntlet. The reason that your last quarter is so hard is because not only are you going up against a lot of books, you're going up against Christmas, okay? Or, other holidays in which people spend money. Also, end of the year, I mean, I'm broke. I'm waiting for my bonuses to come in, right? So, and we've all experienced that, where you're going to get a few people that back out, but your probability of people backing out of their backing is higher in the end of the year because of holidays and things like that. Yep. So not only is Kickstarter itself a gauntlet, but if you're gonna put a book out in the last quarter of the year, be prepared to struggle a little bit. And I would promote the crap out of it. Get that following ready before then, so they're already ready to spend money. Promote your price points, promote everything prior to, so they're expecting, hey, I'm going to drop $30 on this book, or whatever they're going to do. I think the average Kickstarter is about $25, about the average what people spend. Really? So, I will not. When I saw everybody launching in November, I just said, no, I'm good.
I'm good.
You know what? The thing is, if I was only part of a group that could have talked me out launching in November. A group of
I told you.
If I only hung out with people that could say, hey, this is a bad idea.
First of all, you funded. That wasn't even the issue. Like, we knew you was gonna fund anyway. So it's just like, all right, you're gonna fund. You're probably not gonna fund as greatly as you normally like predicted, but it was no question that you were gonna fund. So
okay.
And let's be honest, you can't talk me out of anything.
I was just gonna say that. When Jason makes up his mind, there's no changing it. Because as soon as I looked at the calendar and I said, yeah, I'm not doing that, he was like, okay. Like he didn't question it. He didn't go, maybe I should change it. He was like, all right. I said, there's your book, there's Dee's book. I think Nick had a book out around that time. Burlap was the month before, and that's just without even scouring and trying to figure out what other books were out then.
Yeah,
I remember my feed was nothing but Kickstarters. But again, to that point, you have a dedicated following now. You know, you have a book out. People know who the Convictor is.
Fan base. Yeah, good people.
Yeah, you got 5 people that want to read your book, so that's good.
Yeah, at least. So.
And one of them's you. So I mean, we have 4 other people that might want to check it out.
Right. Yeah.
I use it as a coaster. It's a really good coaster for my drinks. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That thick paper really absorbs all that water.
I got a coaster right here.
So let me show you how much I use my Convictor coaster. By the way, this thing is beat up. It sits next to
shameless plug. You guys want one of these? DM me.
So get all up in his DM. Yeah, I mean, I've used this thing to the point where it's like worn out. But for real, D's right. You know, don't go into November unless you really have a dedicated fan base or you've done a lot of promotion, because you're probably going to fall on your face and it's not going to feel good.
Yeah. Well, I know, and I know D will also resound when I'm saying that we will no longer be doing anything in November.
Yeah, October 5th is my cutoff.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my cutoff too.
Yeah. Jerry, what about you? What did you learn? Because now let me get this right. You had a book prior to your last Kickstarter, right?
Yes,
did that go to Kickstarter, or did you self-fund that book?
I self-funded that book. That book came out in 2016, which is considered issue 0. When I first came out with it, it was more when me and the other guys discussed about creating the book, it was more designed to captivate people, catch people, visually, to have people say, wow, what is this? To be more enticed to buying the next issue, which would have been the first issue, to see what the story is about. So one of the big things that I've noticed was, yes, I sold a lot of books. Like, this was kind of like selling CDs at the back of out the back of your trunk kind of situation.
Your mixtape?
Yeah, my mixtape. Like, that's exactly how it was. I was literally going out, selling it hand to hand to people and everything. And I
sold. How many people that have been to New York City know what we're talking about?
And I sold quite a bit of it, Yeah. And the one thing that I did learn from that is, 1, keep track of your buyers. Okay? You got to keep track of your buyers. You got to have some type of writing, email, some way to contact these guys, because most of those people that I sold to before, I didn't keep track of, no email, no nothing, because it's mainly hand-to-hand sales. So, that's one big thing that I messed up on. 2 was keeping that momentum going. Just like you guys said, I didn't really have a big Kickstarter Instagram. I had a small E4 Comics Instagram. I barely went on it. I barely posted anything because, we were just so busy doing everything else. And
now look at you.
Yeah, and the sad thing about it, most of us can say that we got this far because of COVID. COVID forced people to sit down at home and find something to do. So when I was doing that, all that time that passed between issue 0 coming out and then issue 1 coming out, I was busy. What was it? 2019 is when I really sat down and started trying to grow my Instagram following, but even doing that, I lost my first artist because of that big time span in between, so I would advise people, if you have that momentum, ride that momentum, continue to ride that momentum. You have people interested and they're waiting and curious for what's next. I wish I did that, because it makes me wonder, where would I be? How much better I would have done, even on my first Kickstarter that did pretty well. How better would I have done if I was riding that momentum? So those are like the 2 things I would definitely tell people. Don't fall behind. Keep creating, keep writing. There's going to be times when you just get that negative feeling like you're not going anywhere, or you're not producing enough, because I felt that numerous times. But keep on creating and things will happen as you continue to push forward. Because I went from learning nothing to at least getting this far, and I think it's a big accomplishment for me, you know. And I was lucky enough to meet other creators that helped me out, that helped me figure things out, how to do things properly. I did my own research, like we all said before. That algorithm thing is ridiculous. It's like a science project. Like you're learning a whole different language when it comes to these things, from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all these places, even the Kickstarter, you know. So also, if you do a Kickstarter, I also definitely recommend keep in contact with your previous backers. Send them messages here and there. Make an email list. You don't want to lose connection with them, you know, because you do that, they hear from you once a year. Hey, I got another Kickstarter coming out. They're gonna be like, oh, okay. Some people might have forgotten to something else. Some people might have forgotten about you or anything like that. So you want to try and keep that email list, and, you know, periodically send these people updates of what you're doing, what you're creating, so you can try and keep them interested to come back to the next Kickstarter.
Well, like Chris, like I also, my first book and my Kickstarter coincide. You know, like that's so I got a lot of lessons learned. Like, so my first thing was find a team that shares your vision. Like I had that, and I originally was going to do it all myself, and I realized it was a big process. So I got a team, but you have to also trust in your team, and make sure everyone's on the same page and everyone's goal is yours. You know, if you're working on a book, right? So I found out that you have to really, and again, things happen, but you have to really realize that for me, like that wasn't necessarily the case. Somebody, not everyone's motivation, your motivation and your drive isn't the same as everybody else. And so you got to understand that. So that was an issue. You got to make sure that you and your team members, I would say, hey, I can't say little Jason because it was literally last year, but hey, uh, and you know, hey, can you know, make sure everyone shares this vision and everyone is not having side projects, not dedicated to something else, not promising other people they're going to do something else. So that's one thing. You have to make sure everyone is committed 100%, you know, into, you know, and don't get me wrong, there's professionals out there that can multitask. I mean, you know, that's totally, I mean, Chris and I share a colorist. We can definitely tell you that. But and Chris letters just about every book of every person I know in the Savage Sandbox. So you know, so there's that. So that's the first thing I learned. And the other thing my thing is to right on D. My thing is my other thing I learned, which I need to really actually learn it because I thought, give yourself, know how long it takes you to do something. Okay, put in a realistic approach, a realistic parameters on what you do versus your full-time job that we all have, versus your free time, versus your family time, versus your anything else that you got going on. Understand what time you have to put into a book. Like because that is, I think, and am definitely guilty of this, grossly underestimated that. And especially as traditional artists, because it's one thing to draw for myself, no pressure, no problem. My speed is there. When I'm drawing and I have pressure of a book, and then, you know, 140 people are waiting on it, or whatever the case may be, different freaking story, different. And then you know, and you got to understand, you can't expect your family to, you know, it's just, there's that. So you need to take all those factors in, and then you need to realize, okay, so what's a realistic approach on how I'm going to produce this book? How long of a time frame? Hey, what's up, Mo? Can you hit my mic? How long of a time frame am I going to do this? Okay. So I believed I learned that lesson. So I still got you. Granted, we had some other extra with the book I'm working on right now, just about wrapped up. I literally have 4 more pages to pencil. And yeah, my time was way more efficient in this than it was for Hunter's Moon. That said, not as efficient as I had wanted it to be. There were some things that popped up. We had some, had some COVID issues with a couple, some team members, myself being one of them. So there was some issues there. So, so things happen, right? Shit happens. That's the other thing. Factor in shit happens. So build all that in. I didn't factor in shit happens. I went into this next book like free and clear. I'm like, all right, team's in place. I trust every single one of these guys. I worked. This is perfect. I gave myself plenty of time frame. I did not factor in shit happens. So next thing you know, like one of my members has COVID really bad and can't, had to take a couple week break. So that couple week break, it just happens. And then I had it too, not terribly, but I had it. So it sidetracks you. So there's shit like that. So shit happens. So I didn't factor in shit happen. You should always give yourself about a 3-week shit happen window. So you can you heard it here. So anyway, but yeah, so we're a little bit behind us, but we're made great time. Like I said, I'm just about done. So I learned a lot from my previous one and I applied it. And that is the 2 things I would definitely say. Definitely give a proper estimate of your time and your work output versus your work-life balance, right? And definitely make sure your team members are in the same place as you, that they're 100% in it to win it, and that because no matter what, whose name's on the book, everyone is contributing to making this book. Everyone's part is important. No part is more important than someone else. Because without any of these cogs, the book isn't made, right? So that's the thing for me. That's what I learned, and I would so they coincide between comics and Kickstarter was the same thing, like Chris. So
yeah, I gave
and
myself 3 months for this book.
Yeah,
even though I'm almost finished with the line work, I have hit like my last book. I was really bummed because we were late fulfilling, and generally I'm right there.
Well, the printers are running late too. There's that. I mean, there's a lot of extra
right.
stuff
There's
going
a
on
lot
right
of
now.
unforeseen circumstances that you can't account for. So for one, one of my team members went through a personal thing that you just can't ask them to to give you time, right? And then shipping from the printer, that was like an extra week, right? And then you got to go back and forth with your printer because you've got all these different things, and the more you pack into your Kickstarter, the more you've got to wait to receive. So I didn't think about a few of those things, and I mean we were late, but I made it worthwhile for everybody because everyone got those.
Well, that's what you do. That's and I think that's what settles with fans, with folks to get your book. Like I would do the same. Even if I was 2 weeks late, I'm gonna put something in there to say.
Right.
So that's just what you do as a creator. You just don't want to take people for granted.
It's important too that you're continually thankful for those backers.
Oh yeah.
I've seen a lot of creators, and we poked fun at a few situations where someone they create multiple accounts so that way they can have multiple books going on at the same time without fulfilling them. And I don't subscribe to that at all. If I haven't fulfilled my book, I'm not going to launch my next one. That's just that's me personally. I think I speak for everybody here. We're not going to try and get more money if we haven't fulfilled the first book. And there's some people out there that do that, and I don't think that's good business. And the reason I want to comment on that is because as a community, the actions that we all take affect everybody, because Kickstarter is almost like its own publisher at this point. These platforms we use are in essence a publisher, right? And if we give it a bad name, it's going to affect everyone, trickle down effect. So if let's just say I'm going to use a name out of here I don't know. We'll use Mo. I know you, and I'm going to talk about you from. So Mo goes to Kickstarter, and he backs a few books. and he spends $100 and he gets one book on time, and the other ones he doesn't get for a couple of years. Why does he want to go back to Kickstarter and hope that this next creator is going to fulfill on time? Right?
Yep.
And it makes it harder for other people to gain the traction because now all of a sudden Kickstarter is getting a bad name, and we don't want to do that. There's groups. Nick and I talk about this. I think Dan and I talked about it too. There are groups out there where it's been 2 years and they still haven't put a book out, and they're still asking for money, and that's not good business. So think about that. Think about how that's perceived by the backers and how that's going to go for the long run. This isn't a short game, even though I'm short.
Not that short.
I was gonna say, for 1 out of 3 of us, it is.
But I mean, seriously, you're making books, and I think one of the misconceptions that people have is that it's easy.
Oh my god!
Right?
I've had the misconception.
God, yo.
I know you did. I heard you tell me that you had this misconception that was easy. I never really had any idea what I was getting into because I never thought I was getting into anything. I just started drawing. This wasn't like something it just kind of snowballed. So I never really know what to expect next. And I'm just thankful that I'm still doing it. I've made a lot of friends doing this. For me, this is the most enjoyable part, is getting together, talking with my friends about drawing. My other friends doing stupid shit. I think the easiest part is talking about, and somebody posted on like the ICC group, Independent Creators Group.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing, or what is the easiest part of making comics? And the easiest part is talking about the things you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, you wrote that. It made me laugh.
Yeah, but it's
he goes, what is it that you do? Yeah, what is something you like? I talk about things I should be doing. I almost actually made me laugh out loud. I was at work.
I mean, but it's so true. I spend a lot of time on these chats talking about the things that I probably, like right now, I've got another 20 pages I need to draw in the next month. I'll be honest with you, it's not going to happen. I'm glad I gave myself an additional 3 months on this book. I'm going to be done with the book by the time the Kickstarter ends. I already know that just by how the flow is going. But I still want to give myself that cushion. And, book 2 and book 3 me wouldn't have given myself that cushion. I think I gave myself like a month to fulfill because I was like, oh, I'm almost done. It's fine. And then, I'm cutting it down to the wire. I remember in book 3, I had to have it fulfilled by June 29th. I'm sitting here sending stuff out. It's fulfilled by June.
Hey, whatever.
That's how I slept. And there was a piece of me that would have felt bad had it gone to July, right? Because I was launching another Kickstarter, and I just
you're like, what's the old trick? You're like, well, I just sent out the digital. That's technically
yes, people can read the book with the digital, but we want that physical copy, right?
I'm a physical guy. I need that book.
And let's talk about some of the other things like not to do, since that's what the topic of the night is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So another thing that you don't want to do when you go to Kickstarter is what? Let's just throw out some ideas, because I know I'm gonna hold mine back because I've talked quite a bit.
I'll say one. One thing you don't want to do, because I'm still actually getting bitten in the butt for this to this day, and I'm happy that I was able to somewhat rectify the situation with one of my backers from my previous books. When you create a tier, make sure you're prepared for that tier. Okay? So my first Kickstarter had a tier that I honestly thought I wasn't going to get much backing on that tier. I'm the guy, I think low before thinking high, so I'm not disappointed. I'm that guy too, okay? So I honestly didn't even think a lot of people would have backed it. So I didn't even put a limit on it. I ended up getting so much more backers on that tier than I expected. I think I got like between 19 or 23 backers on my top tier, which also stated that you'll have a chance to create a character within my book.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. So part of
it better be a giant. It's called Giant Fight Scene.
Yeah.
Battle is the battle is the word. That's how you do it.
So basically, I am till this day, I still got 3 more characters I have to fulfill, to create. And one of my previous backers reached out to me, was like, "Hey, I backed this, and you said you was gonna do this, and I haven't heard anything." And it was like, my apologies, because I did create a bunch of new characters. What's up, D?
Yeah, that's true, man. D, you're not alone. Every person up here will tell you that is exactly 100% accurate. And then as a second time comic creator, it didn't change. So it always sounds cool until you start doing it.
I think aside from Jesse, right? I think I've made the most books in our group. Maybe Nick contends with me at this point. Probably Nick probably contends because he's been doing this for a lot longer. I'm putting out my 6th book. Now, mind you, one of my 6 I only wrote. I didn't do the artwork for. I lettered all of them. It does not get easier. In fact, it gets harder every book because you're going to challenge yourself to be better than your last book, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And you're going to compare your next Kickstarter to your last Kickstarter. You're always going to be doing this thing where you're comparing yourself to yourself, and then you're going to be comparing yourself to your friends, and you're going to get in your own head here. And the fact of the matter is, it never gets easier. It never gets better. It only gets harder, and it's because you make it harder for yourself. That's something that I've stepped back even on this book, because I'm trying to outdo myself. And I was actually talking to Brad today, and I said, I think I've reached a point where I'm done trying to outdo myself. I just want to do the best I possibly can, because I would go look at what I was doing, like drawing wise, and I would go back to my previous files, like book 3, book 2, and I'm like, is this better? Okay, this is better. Good. If it didn't look better to me, I would scratch the entire page and start over again. Yeah, I was that brutal on myself. But I also have a wife that, she likes to tell me my work is just okay. So I love Nick. Nick, we do Kickstarter. You should try it out sometime. There's actually a book with the Raven name on it that it was a book. It was about a bird, though. And wasn't it called like the Raven or Black Raven? I don't know. It was something. It's all about animal heads. It's really good. You should check it out. They have a cool knight character too. I think it was ripped off, though. I'm not sure. Something like Black Tree or Brown Tree or something like that.
Oh God.
Nick's not here, so I have to fill his spot. But
you guys,
I wish he was. I love getting our group together. I'll at the same time I'm going to 3 because we want to call it
a member of my list.
But it just never gets easier. And I think if Nick were here, he would tell you the same thing. It's not, the idea of making comics is easy. Okay, having this idea that I can draw this out and it makes sense, but then when you get into it, it's always hard. It's layer on layer on layer. Like Jason found out. I remember as you were doing your book, you were like, I'll draw it, he'll color it, you'll letter it, it'll be good, right? And then it was like, oh, well, the coloring, I need to change like 30 different things, because when you're working with multiple people, and that's not a diss on you, what I'm saying is there's always a different vision. And even though you can make the most notes, you can have the color swatches ready for the person to use, they may still see the art differently than you do when you're drawing it, right? And it's going to take time. And if you color your own work, you're still going to second guess your coloring, unless you're Robert Nix, who colors in 5 seconds and it comes out perfect. He's the only one I know that he can send me line art and then color art, and it's done in 5 seconds. And it's really, but he's been doing this stuff for so long that I guess he's got his own style down. But you're always going to be challenging yourself, and you're always going to make it harder. It just depends on if you want to put the work in. And that's where the indie scene comes in. That's where indie fails day in and day out, is by the second or third book, you realize this is too hard, right? I can't do this anymore. I have a job. I have a family. I have this. And so where that circles back is if you have that support team, your friends or your family. I mean, I hear my kid and my wife out there right now going nuts, having a good time. I'm here talking about comic books, right? I'm missing out on that, so I can talk comic books to my friends, but they support me. They allow me to have this time to come in and talk stuff. So I think that's another piece that we can all say we learned, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm a writer, for God's sakes, and I thought that, hey, all right, good. I just write the story. I find an artist, send it to an artist, and then it comes to life. Hell no. Hell no, it's not that easy at all. Like, I couldn't, like, when my first artist, sending him what I wanted, sending him what I wanted, and just that constant back and forth of what needed to be changed, how I viewed, I was like, wow, this is definitely more complicated than expected. And like you said before, you always want to try and do better. You want to learn from your previous book and try to improve in the next one. So just by me writing what I'm writing to the artist has changed, and it continues to change just to try and be more vivid to that person. Like I told you guys before, it gotten to the point where I was taking pictures of myself or my kids in certain positions so the artist could understand.
He doesn't do that.
Yeah,
open a convictor book. Take a pose, and I'll show you the picture that goes with it.
So there's a lot of that.
And Resurgence is no different.
So it definitely gets hard. And then the aspect of everything, like I said, the amount of time it takes for you to learn how to promote. Just promoting alone is complicated and is very difficult. So the more you learn, the more you realize there's so much more you need to do. And like Chris said, having a circle around you to help you and push you forward is also very important, because you can drown in this if you're not careful, just disappear.
So what you're saying, it's good to know these things.
Oh yeah.
So would you also say knowing is half of the battle?
I believe G.I. Joe would say so.
Okay. And have we discussed what the other half of battle is? Violence,
and murder,
it's
right?
violence. A lot of bullets and machine gun fire and blood. That's
what comics are. Your hero gets into these big overarching fights, and there's a bunch of violence. At the end, they learned a lesson, and hopefully that lesson is not to put a fork in the microwave or into your toaster, because I learned that from G.I. Joe.
Of course, yeah. There's Dennis.
What up, D? He has 12 or 13 books. Jesus, okay, so he's outdone me by just a few.
Well, I'm gonna start counting my ash cans and my short stories. I'll pull out my bin right here.
I'll pull out my stick figures. I'll do my stick figures.
My original
I Xerox them. They count as being public.
I've only been in this game for literally since July of 2020, so you leave me alone, all right? But another thing to that, right? One thing that another thing to take away, another thing to plan for, another thing that I learned across the many mistakes I've made. Don't pay idiots to try and promote your book.
Oh yeah.
Oof.
Okay.
Oof.
I only have one idiot that promotes mine.
You have 7 idiots that promote your book.
Oh well, yeah, I know. Yeah, sure. I meant from my originally.
But if someone comes to you and says, "Hey, pay me this amount of money, I'm going to promote it," I want proof. And this Kickstarter actually found, I've been doing some trial and error, and Dan got me onto a guy who, when I'm not on our show or on my live, I'm on something he's booked for me, and we've got a few press releases out. We've got some interviews done, some reviews done on different websites, and he's done a really good job. I've seen him share my stuff. I've seen all the work that he's put in, and he's a quarter, if not less, than what I paid someone before to share my stuff on Facebook, and I did all the designs. So that was pretty crappy. And now I heard that Raven. Oh yeah, the creator is a dick. He's a complete dick. I'm surprised he's still around, to be honest with you. I thought he would have given up by now. But don't pay someone to promote a book that you can promote better. And I would say the one thing I really love about our group is that we all promote each other's books. When we go live, it's all over our Instagrams, all over our Facebook. Thanks to Nick, all over our Twitter, and we just work together to get that book out there. Nothing's going to be better than word of mouth by people that actually have some passion behind it. And I mean, all the guys in our group, we have passion for each other's projects. I haven't seen a book that we haven't pushed, except for Nick's. We don't push his books because he sucks.
Screw you, Nick.
Dennis is about to make the list. If he doesn't jump in here, I'm getting mad at him. I gotta get some of that Dennis energy in here.
Hey guys, it's 8:51.
He's late.
All right. Well then, let's go. I mean, I'm gonna leave your thing going off. You wanna you want the full screen, or are you happy where you're at?
No, I'm good where I'm at.
All right.
You sure? You don't
Set it up.
All right. So it's time to announce the 3 winners of the Jordans in Your Style contest for E4 Comics.
Son.
I have to say, man, there was a lot of great freaking entries.
Oh yeah.
There was.
Amazing.
That I'm even heartbroken that's not at the the top winners. But if they allow me, I definitely might still want to do something with them on my Kickstarter, even if it's a stretch goal posters or something, because I truly enjoyed their artwork. So without further ado, number 3, third place winner goes to Vash A. That's his Instagram handle. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
yes.
the one.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
I loved that one. That was so good.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's intense. It's totally intense.
That is the number
cool.
3 spot. I couldn't.
Hell yeah! Congratulations, number 3.
I
Vash
gotta vote
A.
in for that one.
Vash A is the man. He's definitely helped me out before on a couple of artworks that you guys have
Very
seen
cool.
before. So I truly appreciate him and his skills. So congratulations to you. Number 2, second place winner. It's my boy, Mag.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was dope.
That one
That
was
is
They all were damn
unbelievable.
good.
Okay.
Well, Mag.
Mag is the man. We all know that. Mag entered.
Talking about seeing someone's art progress over the last couple years.
Bro. You see what he's coming out with his characters?
I mean, his shit is just neck. He's just go back to his page like this time last year. Like he's,
yeah. Big improvement.
Absolutely. He won my contest too.
and he won mine.
And I told my wife too when I did that. I was like, "Yeah, if Mag enters, I know he's going to be either 1 or 2. Like, just hands down."
He gets the for my next book. He gets the a cover. He gets to do a cover, paid cover. So.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So now, number 1, the first place winner goes to.
Oh, let's go.
Artist J.
Another fight. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, it's funny. Jay's in my inbox right now. He's doing some work for me. I'm gonna let him know.
He is my first place winner, man. Congratulations, Artist J. I appreciate you guys for taking the time to join the contest and everyone that took the time to vote. But
I need to say a personal favorite of mine in that contest was the Hydro one.
The Hydro one, yes.
With
Ryan,
the water swirling around. Man, that was, I'm going to tell you something. That's a cover to a comic.
Yo,
straight up. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. That is legit bad.
Mm-hmm. I definitely enjoyed this.
Really enjoyed that. So.
Another honorable mention, I have to say, was Robbie.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that one right there.
All of them. I voted for that one as well.
Yeah, I voted for that one. I really like the
apparently my votes don't mean shit. But anyway, we
don't pay attention to you.
Yeah, apparently not. That's why I know it's rigged. I'm just kidding. It's not really rigged. This is sarcasm. This is sarcasm.
Gary called me before he got on the live. That's why he was late. And he said, "Hey, I I really
I
hate
called Jason.
Jason's votes, and so I'm gonna remove all of his votes. Is that okay? And I was like,
Yeah,
of course, I don't pay attention to Jason.
Well, it's no different than someone saying, "Hey, I have a tie. We need somebody to break this tie?" Because I told Jerry when we were talking about, I'm like, ties are the worst because you're like, I don't know what to do. I have a tie.
Yeah.
You hope someone comes through and put some kind of someone comes through last minute, and that's what happened to ours and broke a tie on ours. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
That was
another
great
honorable
content,
mention, two more honorable mentions that I
Mhm.
definitely would like to say is this one, another
Oh
group
yeah,
picture.
that's cool. It's very anime.
Yeah, it was
Very
good too.
Yeah,
That's amazing. And because of my love for Dragon Ball Z, sorry, Chris, I definitely want to say that I truly enjoyed this one. Like this just gave me the pure Dragon Ball Z feel to it.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, that's official. So
yeah, it was a good contest. It was done well.
I can't say
so
anything
much
for people that have
phenomenal
bad taste in anime. It's okay.
It's respect, all right? My first
Hey.
anime will always have my respect.
Speaking of,
like the original Red Ranger, always
Hey, man,
have my
we all
respect.
like
all right, here we go.
You know, it's
We couldn't get to it.
a good
Couldn't get to a damn show without talking about Power Rangers. Anyway, really quick, just side note, my kid's reading My Hero Academia, the true manga book.
Mm.
He's like, look, you have to read it this way. And then I said to her, well, G, you have to read the panels that way too. She's like, oh, now I know it wasn't making any sense. I'm like, she flipped the page, but she'd read it the other way across. I'm like, that's not. I'm like, but Jerry, that really quick, that page I showed you, and you said you liked the uppercut that was on that page of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that. That was inspired by a manga piece I saw.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah.
Nice.
I meant to tell you that.
So
I just saw something really cool.
Now I need to buy that manga for my child since she's about to start asking me about it because yours is now reading it. Thanks.
Well, she's got it from she got it from Scholastic Book Fair. So
yeah, because we do homeschool now, so we don't have a Scholastic Book Fair.
Well, I also saw the book at Target. Target sells in young adult.
Cool.
They're legit mangas. So
this is what happens when you make friends with people and they have kids the same age as you and they become best friends.
Is a strong word, but
yeah, I kind of like you sometimes. I guess I talk to you every once in a while, right?
Yeah. Friends is pushing it.
Friends. How many of them are there?
With friends like you who needs enemy. Yeah.
We're going to push Nick's books. We need. Actually, you know what? We forgot.
Yeah, his is launching. I got to put a banner up for him. His is launching when. His is launching. We're down to the Phalanx.
March
his
7th?
Is the 7th, I believe.
Well, okay. Well, I think our next Phalanx is scheduled for the 11th.
Yep. Yeah, he launches because Nick always does like a Monday launch, I think. So he's either doing the 7th or the 9th or something like that. Nick, I know you're
put it up in
like
the thing. Nick, write it in the comments so I can put it up on the screen when you're launching.
Yeah, and I'll grab his link too and send it to you while we're in here.
But yeah, this is I think we're shooting for I'm looking at my massive live schedule right here, and I think we're shooting for a Phalanx on the 11th.
We still were discussing what we wanted to do, like crossover between our Kickstarters. So,
I definitely
promotion or tier or something like that.
I'm definitely shooting. I still want to do April for my next one, but it might not be April 1st. I might have to push it back. So it's all going to depend on when this book starts arriving in people's hands because I don't want to be that person. I just saw somebody that I enjoy what they're doing, the book that they're making. I haven't received their book. It's their first book, and they're already launching their second one, and their first book isn't even in people's hands. Like, like I said, I really like the guy, and I was like, man, you can't do that. Like, and that's why I would push my next Kickstarter back because this I won't launch it until this one I know it's been confirmed that people have it because that's just wrong.
Yep, I agree. I mean, gratefully for me, my book is practically done. Just waiting for the lettering and everything, and that's about it. Like my book is already issue 2 is already done, and I'm already working on issue 3. So depending how far I guess I get on issue 3 to when everyone gets their rewards, because in the reward tiers, one of the special things that I'm doing in this Kickstarter is, instead of like cards like Chris did, I decided to do challenge coins. So I'm going to have challenge coins in this, and I think that might be the longest thing I wait for before pushing the being able to send everybody their reward.
Yeah.
So that's the main concern that I have. So we'll see how that goes. That's my biggest fear.
Yeah. So like I said, this friend of mine, he had issues with getting his book printed, and he had to find there was an issue with the sizing of the book. Book came back wrong. He just sent back in, and then he's had it stuck in his head that he was launching his next second book this month, and I'm like, man, I don't even have this book in my hands yet, and I'm hesitant to go to your next Kickstarter for this issue 2, and I don't even have issue 1. So
is it that issue 1 is not completed yet? Or
no, it's complete. No, the book was done. Like, it was done. He was having an issue printing it. He was having an issue, like there was a sizing issue, and then there was a printing issue, and then there was 4 or 5 different covers that were also, there was issues with those. So it's just delayed in getting it out. And then he got help from a friend of ours, mutual friend of ours, and he helped him get, squared away with all that. So, so, just push your Kickstarter back, bro. Push it back a month. You know what I mean? Let people have your book. That's all. That's all you gotta do. I'm all for, as creator, you get in there and you have a time frame, and you're like, okay, there's this, and this, and I'm gonna put this book out there. Shit happens. Again, remember, the shit happens clause, and it's wait a minute. I see we got a certain celestial being popping in the green room right now. I don't have any camera yet on him, but he's there. I'll wait till there he is.
His spirit is there.
His spirit is there. So, but he's still working on it. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, like, just stuff like that. Like, you want to make sure people have your product before you ask them to buy another product. And especially now with prices going up on everything, and money is like, give somebody let them have something so you can, before you ask for something else. I don't know if that helps.
Just say Jason froze.
Oh, did I? Oh my God, I was hoping.
It always happens. It's okay.
Yeah. No, I'm waiting on Dennis. There he is. There he goes. Yeah. There he goes. He's clapping. All right.
Dude.
Hey.
Dude, I can't tell you how many people I cut off and flipped a finger to just to get here. I'm like, fuck you. God damn it. I'm listening to you guys. Yeah, I'm listening to you guys, and I'm like, gotta jump on this. Yeah.
It's good to see you, Dennis. How you
yeah,
feeling?
man. Dude, congratulations. I got to listen to the announcements on the winners. Super cool. I was pulling for Meg because that's my boy. Filipino from New York. I mean, I'm pulling for him. But that's my guy. But yeah, all those guys deserving. Their art was fantastic. And there's even the ones the honorable mentions. Their art was just
great,
really on point. Yeah.
Like I said, I really hope that they're okay. They all give me the okay to like create stretch goals. Like a poster bundle. That'd be freaking awesome.
Don't you? And I know you guys have all done this. Don't you guys get nervous? Like, I was gonna do one of those, and I always think, like, if I do it your own style. That, like, I might get like one entry, and it'll be like Nate.
Oh, dude, you have no idea how badly I was going through that. So I was literally like talking to people individually, asking them, "Hey, if I did this, would you join? Would you join? Okay, good, and stuff." So once I got like okay from like 5 people that they would have joined, I was like, all right, I think I feel comfortable doing this. 5 is good,
I get so nervous.
I end up getting 12 entries. So
Nice.
Jason doesn't even have to do a DTYS. He just
No.
and it's like you look at the hashtag, and all of a sudden you're like, man, I feel inadequate next to that guy.
Yeah.
Well, I did just get an 8-bit character from Wii. So he made this really dope ass Convictor 8-bit. I'm like, I didn't know I never needed that in my life, but there it is. I got it. So, yeah, it was really
Nice.
awesome.
Nick is the
Yeah,
7th, by the way.
Yeah, I got it. I'm putting it up.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a yeah, Wee's a good kid. So William,
Nice.
but yeah, yeah. So Dennis,
Yo.
really quick to get up to speed. What we're talking about, like you did the same thing, launched your first comic,
Yeah,
and a Kickstarter, coincide. So we talked about what was you would go back and wish you knew or would redo, so in both of those aspects. So whenever you
So I think one of the things when I was driving and I heard Chris saying, like it's not easy. I think people have the misconception that comics are easy. And I think Nick had put it in the comments. I think one of the things, at least in my mistake, was I took more than I thought. Like what was it? The saying is like you bit more than you can chew or something like that. Because I was doing pencils, inks, colors, and writing. I didn't factor that how much that would be. I just thought like you know me, I could pump out a piece of art pretty quick. Usually in a night I'll go. And this was more than that. I think the more pressure I looked at it was, this is my first book. This is my first book with my name all over it. And one of the things that dawned on me when I sent you guys those pages today, that when I finally get this thing printed, like from, head to toe, it's all me and Chris and my editor. Like, that's it. And Mo. Like, that's it. Like 85% of that bones of this book is all me. And like, I need it to be as much me as possible. Just because the control freak in me. And I think once I see it in my hands, I'm like, holy shit. Like every ounce of my blood is in this page from the pencils to inks.
You got to do a live box opening like Jason.
I feel you. I feel you.
But like, like my
I'm hardly ever speechless, and I was speechless that day.
Yeah, that's true. But like my style is so dependent on coloring. So like just even the coloring in that will be like, holy, like it's there. Like everything... Yeah. Anything that was in my brain was poured onto that page. So it kind of sunk in today when I sent those pages over to you guys. But yeah, I think, not biting off more than you chew. And if you're going to plan your Kickstarter and your campaign, expect something to go wrong. I think for me, I was rolling into the campaign. Like I was doing lives. I was doing my own lives. I was posting 4 times a week. I was doing 3 Celestial Nights, a throwback piece, and a fan art on Friday. On the regular, I was rolling and I felt good. Campaign hits. You fund. The first week I was still rolling, and then I got hurt. And then that just took everything out of me. Like, that was just a huge blow to me. That took me out of the game for a month. So, for me, the next time is like, I know you feel good. I know you're planning your Kickstarter. It's going to go great. Plan for something to go wrong. And I think all of us have been down that path where something went wrong and something went sideways and left. Like, throw yourself that extra month just to be like, okay, something's going to go really bad. You don't know what it's going to be. Prepare yourself. It could just be life expectations, job, anything. You might be just out of the groove, but plan ahead. And then the other thing I thought it was like my editor is really good. And I don't know if she's in here, but she's really good in the sense that one, she doesn't keep me on track because goddamn, I'm a little late, more than a little late. But she's on me, like hounding me. Like she'll come in my office and be like, you need to do an update. I'm like, you're right. I do need to do an update. Or, when she's like, I need pages, I need something to read. I'm like, I understand, and she's keeping me going as far as what needs to be done in steps. Hindsight being 2020, I wish I could have gone back and giving her more. I wish I could have gave her the Kickstarter to kind of go through the verbiage and all that and edit my actual Kickstarter lingo more than just the book. But I think I know that Chris has a whole crew that's considered. Chris, right? You consider your boys your editors, right? Like, I mean,
most. I don't let everybody because then it would just be a shit show.
Yeah.
I let Brad and Terrell do it, and then when everything's done, I bring everybody in, and that's because I brought in the people that showed interest in it. And real quick, I have the ability to make updates on your thing, and I have been this close to going in and being like, "Hey, we still love you."
Yeah, no, but you know what? Like, even if you did, like, I'd appreciate that and that was actually my third point was like, if you can surround yourself with a crew, you need people who are going to be hard on you, who are going to be like, hey, man, like either A, you're fucking this up, or B, this is messed up, or you need to fix this, who are giving you, as you said last week, that tough conversation, tough talk. Tough talk. Here it is. You need that. I think you don't want to hear it. You don't want it, but you need it. And that's where I'm at, especially with this book being so late. It's really like, I need that. I know where I'm at now, and I'm on a really good roll. But I think if anyone who's thinking about going to Kickstarter, like those would be my first 3. I'd be like, plan for something to go wrong. 2, if you can, get an editor, or if it's not an editor, a group of people who care about your work and kind of fix those things with a fresh set of eyes. And 3, surround yourself with some people who can give you some tough talk when you're doing something wrong or when something doesn't look right. Mo is a good example. I showed Mo almost most of my pages because I know his style is very similar. Our outlook when we do a page is very similar. And he's given me a couple of feedback of this works, this doesn't work. And, sometimes you cringe like, ugh, but he's right. So you surround yourself with people who are to give you that tough talk and expect it. Like if you're going to pick those people to surround yourself with, expect them to come down with you with some criticism you're not going to like, but you may need. And at the end of the day, it's going to make your book better. But those are my top 3, just listening to you guys and thinking about this all day.
Nice. Makes a lot of sense.
Some of that, right? That tough love is really what I think every creator needs. I've said that 100 times, I wouldn't be where I'm at without my wife telling me in her own words that my stuff sucked. She said it nicely, but I think one of the best things that has happened to me in this process was a few months ago. I'm working on book 5 here, and we get together every night. We watch TV. That's like our time. We get about an hour or 2. We watch some of the shows. Peacemaker, if you haven't watched it, you're not living correctly.
It's the first thing I could tolerate John Cena in. So.
Agreed. I was just gonna say, man, like I don't even skip the opening credits. But a few months ago, I brought the tablet into bed, and I was like getting ready, and I wanted to show her something, and she said, you're at the point where I don't even need to critique you anymore. Like she doesn't give me any critique. She just looks at it, and then that's it. For the first 3 books, I'm gonna tell you, like book 1, book 2, book 3, move this, change this, do this, every page. There wasn't a page I showed her where she was like, that looks good. It was always change something. And when she said that, now mind you, my wife was my best friend for 11 years before we even dated. She's been there from the beginning of this whole thing. And I've gotten reviews. I've gotten feedback from you guys. I've gotten feedback from my friends. None of it compared to when she said, I don't really have to tell you to do anything anymore.
That's awesome.
That was the best feeling, next to like my kid laughing her ass off at the book. Like, that was a good feeling too. But that said to me, okay, I'm finally confident where I'm at. Now I just need to grow my style. And I've said since we started this, I haven't felt like I've had a style until book 5. I am 5 books in, and I finally feel like I found my niche and kind of like what my style is. And I thank her for it, because without her there telling me, hey, she would come in on a page I spent hours on, and she would just erase it. She would just erase things.
Oh, damn.
And she would just start scribbling over top of it. And I'm like, what did you just do? And luckily, half the time we would make a new layer before she did that. So she would erase the one layer, and I had a backup. But it was frustrating, and it was hard, especially putting that much time into it and having someone say, that's wrong, erase it and go over. The first few times it was frustrating, and I probably got pissed and gave her an attitude, and I apologized to her. But by the 3rd, 4th time, after seeing the final, seeing how much better it looked after her edits, it was like, okay, cool. Now I want you to do it. Hey, you have time? I need you to look at this, because I don't know how this looks.
You have to prepare yourself. Go into the next room like, all right, I'm about to show her this. Get ready.
Pretty much, man.
Let's go. All right, Nat, here you go. I'm ready.
Well, like my friends would comment, like Brad and them, they would critique some of the stuff, but they're not artists, right? Terrell was pretty rough. He was like, I'm too tall, or I'm too this. He this day he's like, just even the color of skin, because he's very particular about his character. And we would spend hours working on stuff like that. But posing and angles and things, like, they don't get that. And even to this day, like, I was talking to Brad today about it, and Robert Nix has really been helping me with some of my panel work and because I've been doing action scenes. And Robert was like, yeah, send me some of your stuff. And he was like, he would go into my sketch pad and he would just read everything and put new perspectives. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's awesome. You know, and luckily it's just a sketch. So it's not like my finalized work. So I don't have to delete anything. And I told Brad, I was like, yeah, I've got somebody now that's looking over this and giving me like new perspective. He's like, good, because I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to drawing comic books. I can just tell you when the flow sucks. But having a group of people helps. I send stuff to Jason, and Jason and I were talking about that before we even jumped on the live, how if you need a will there be a tattoo stretch goal? This arm is kind of taken up by my stuff from my family. We might put like a helmet on there, right? Like maybe I'll or like I am all about getting some Samedi on there. I already have a cat tattoo. I might as well get another one. Maybe I'll get like a little top hat hanging off here, or a bow tie, or some guns. I don't know. We'll play with it. I'm cool with getting more tattoo work. But you know, us in our group, right, the Savage Sandbox, we all will pick different members of the group and send some stuff to and get some feedback. I, for the longest time, just threw everything into our group chat, and I'm not doing that anymore. You guys have seen very little of my work for a reason, and I'm pulling to you guys. Like Nate started it, and then Dennis was like doing it, and I'm like, you know what, screw it. No one's gonna see my shit until it's done. Jason, you know, but we all have the people that we can use to bounce ideas off of, and that's something that's really important. I've met a lot of people lately that don't have anyone really to share their stuff with. So I'm not opening my inbox to everybody, because please don't do that. But if you go to the Savage Sandbox, most of us are you know, open and willing to, you know, give some support and some help. That's really what the Savage Sandbox is for. So, you know,
like, I'll tell you this right now, one of the biggest things that I want to work on for me, especially since I am a writer, I'm not really, you know, I'm not an artist, but I can see, I guess, some artistic views, is my box layouts. And that's like, I feel the biggest thing that I want to work on, because I look at you guys' artworks, or even the ones that Dennis just sent us, and it's like, sometimes you just see, I forgot what's it called, but like a one image in a page, like a big one image page. There's a name for that.
Splash page.
Splash page. There you go. Like, I don't really have that in my books, because I feel like I'm constantly trying to put as much information or as much sequence as possible in each page. And mind you, my comics are 34 pages, and I still feel like I have to stuff each page with artwork or with action or with whatever is happening. And I feel like I definitely need to work better on my layout for my books. So
can I make a comment on that as I'm working through your book? You can give yourself space to breathe. Okay. And this comes from something I learned, because when I did book 1, I was trying to cram, and I'm taking a 6-hour D&D session, and I'm trying to cram it into a book. Right? And Brad goes, you know, we really need to do more showing, not telling. He said, people don't pick up comic books to read a bunch of words. He said, people pick up comic books to watch the action and read here and there. He said, so we need to have the pictures do a lot of the storytelling, and then we need to fill in the blanks with a lot of the dialogue and other things. And he said, because he's like, I don't really read a lot of comic books, but when I do, if I get lost in the book, I don't want to read it. And so that really kind of resonated with me as I got to book like 2 and 3, because even 2, I was making a lot of smaller panels and just trying to like cram some stuff in. Book 3, I said, no, we're making bigger panels. You know, we'll showcase a lot more of the artwork, because this book is going to be what, 7 by 10 when it's all said and done with.
Yeah.
And if you cram that in, And Jason and Dennis, you can probably attest to this being artists when you're working on a book. You want that room for that art to breathe. Yeah. And so, but your layouts, like your panel layouts, are good. And I just think that you have a great artist. Giving him some room to breathe on some stuff would be good. I think that's just feedback from anybody.
One of the things, it just reminds me, has anyone seen Book of Boba Fett, the 7th episode?
Mandalorian season 3? Yeah, I've seen it.
Right? I mean, hello. So my criticism for the last episode, was it episode 7, was they crammed everything into the last episode and just tried to tie up all these ends. It was too much. So as I'm going through my book, I sent you guys some pages, and as I sent them over, I said, you know what? I could probably condense one of these pages down to 2 or 3 panels. But then the reason I stopped was I know my strength. My strength is like big, powerful impact pages where I'm going to have some crazy art and colors and stuff like that. So I kind of pulled it back and said, well, I'm not going to do such tiny panels. There's nothing wrong with doing, panels. It's just my strength and what I'm comfortable with. But at the same time, I thought to myself, like, you know what? I'm going to cram this story into 3 issues. And if I can't, then I go to 4. And there's no reason to just be like, you know what? I'm locked into this issue and I got to put this into it. Everything rolls right. And as I grow as an artist and a creator, I'm going to go to 4 if I have to. But again, I keep going back to that. As I watched that episode of Book of Boba Fett, I'm like, God damn, they're cramming everything in there. Like, man, you could have went to episode 8, and I know they have, obviously budgets and things like that, but damn, they could have just really, like, if you took out episode 5 and 6, which are the best episodes anyways, because it was Mando, if you would have stretched that story out better and that character exploration better, maybe you wouldn't have had to just rush everything into that last episode. And the same thing for the book, where I'm like, I probably could have condensed this down to about 4 panels, but I put it to 2 because I want to flex with my art and because I want to get more drama. And Chris, I'm struggling with that, like, I was reading a lot of Claremont stuff, and he has so much expose and big word and big paragraphs. And I'm like, is this like, I'm thinking like, am I Stan Lee? Like, I'm all this great exposition, but at the same time, like, I'm a Bendis guy. So I want to talk through the pictures. I want to set a scene and not even say a word. And you're seeing the drama. I sent 2 pages over to Mo, and he goes, they're perfect. I can see the drama from your panels. And I'm like, that's what I want. But at the same time, you're paying this money. You want to read some words. I don't want to just show you a picture book. So I'm struggling with that as I'm kind of forming the script and cleaning it up, and I plan to send it to my editor. But that's where I'm struggling with, like, I want this dramatic scenes. I'm listening to what I grew up with was Bendis. I loved Claremont. He was full of paragraphs and thoughts, bubbles, and all that. But it's just interesting. I look at you guys' works and how you guys, lay out your page. I think, Jerry, to be honest with you, I love like I said, your book reads like an anime. I love it. Like, it just reads like I'm reading an anime. It's just crazy. But yeah, it's just, don't feel rushed. Don't crush it in. And it's so interesting. Like, when you're talking about it, how are you communicating to your artist? Like, I can't even imagine that process of, like, this is my thoughts. This is my story. I'm going to communicate to somebody and trust them to put it on page in panel work. I'm so controlling, right down to the colors and the details and all that. Good Lord, Jerry. I don't know how you do it. That's crazy, dude.
The thing about Claremont, his characters and his story called for that, right? Like, Magneto got those big exposés, and Professor X. Wolverine didn't have a big...
Yeah.
He was a man of few words for a reason. And, so you can have characters that have big exposition because it calls for it. We don't need to have your even if your main character isn't the guy, because your main character, like Jason, I lettered an entire book for him, and I think convicted him. 3 lines of dialogue, the entire book. And he's the main character.
That's a perfect example. Perfect example.
But his villain
he talks more in his book
of exposition.
Actually, he doesn't really talk a lot in his book either.
Good. I hate lettering.
Yeah, he doesn't really talk a lot.
That's so good.
I
He
have
doesn't
a
do the
specific
talking.
color swatch
So.
just for him, and no one else can use the color swatch. Like, Like if I'm lettering your books and you tell me to use that color, I'm going to change it. I'm sorry.
Listen,
Jason's already called it.
Duke does enough talking in this book for everyone.
That's Jason's storytelling right there. If you look at that, he knows Convictor doesn't call for a lot of dialogue. Convictor calls for a lot of action, right? His villains do all the talking for you because then you want to see them get their ass beat. And then what does Convictor do? He beats their ass. Right.
Well, I sent a couple of feet. Like, all right, number one, you guys have editors. I'm jealous. All right, number two, I don't know what that is. I know. So, but what I do have is like Jerry's the guy I'll send. Like I sent him Resurgence stuff. Like Jerry's the guy that gets the martial arts stuff. I'm like, how does this look? And then Jerry, because he's a fellow martial artist, so Jerry says, "Oh yeah, this was good. Yeah, I've seen that before." Okay, I'm like, all right. Because a lot of this book, I'm pulling from a lot of the stuff that I put in his book. Like I sent something to Chris. I said, "Listen, as a non-knife fighter, what does this look like to you?" And he goes, "Ooh, I've seen that before. That guy's gonna get his ass kicked," because I'm putting real things in the book. So I'll send people things for a reason. Like I'll send stuff to Jack because Jack's just like a massive Convictor fanboy, and I'll send stuff to him and I say, "Jack, how does this grab you?" And he says, "Oh my God, this is good." You know, that's so I don't like, but I'm also again pulling a page out of Dennis's book that I'm not showing as much as I showed before because it's a different book. Like this book is people that have seen it, you'll see it's like, shit, this is not like your other book. I'm like, no, it's not. The only thing the same is the character. And so yeah, like editors are nice. I have Chris, that's why I give him my sometimes editor, because I'm a control freak. There's that too. And I also, it's hard to, I would take editing, like I'll send flow, I'll say Chris a page and like, how's the flow look? And he said, it's good. All right. Like that stuff. But like when you're talking like editing, like the character and stuff like that, I'm like, it's hard to give up that control for something I've had so long. And I've put, and Dennis, you can obviously know what I'm talking about.
Good point.
So it's hard to say, how dare you tell me what to do with this character? Because I literally birthed this character. You know what I mean? Like this is my, so it's hard to wrest that loose, and but yeah, I just so I send bits and pieces to different people because the people that I really want to hear things, not that I appreciate everyone's feedback. I would love to drop it in the chat. It's just that I don't want to give things away because there's a lot of like I didn't use, it sounds like I'm pitching my book. I don't mean to. I'm just talking about my experience. I didn't use the term ruthless as a tagline. It was something that I wanted to bring with this book. And, so I want to make sure that when I send somebody something that they get that from it, that you see it and you say, yes, he wasn't bullshitting me with the promo. You know what I mean? Like that's my goal. And that's why I send that, if I need that affirmation, that I didn't fuck it up. So.
Dude, you're doing very well, Jason. You're doing that shit very well, bro.
I mean, and here's the other thing. There's things I'm showing on my Instagram that are very snippet of a small, larger picture. Yeah. And then I am very prone to putting misleading dialogue up to make you believe that that's the dialogue. I am like, because there's some, the Convictor is one mean son of a bitch in this book. And, sadistic is a word. And, and so I just, and one more thing, just what you said, Dennis, I just did it yesterday. I took out a panel to condense panel space. I had one panel where the Convictor was getting a hit from an assailant, and then I had him where he's rolling back to. I had a panel in between where this would be a good place for him to do a flip. And then I looked at the whole page. I stepped back in my thumbnails and I looked at what I had and I said, this is not a good place for a flip because then I'm going to have to choke the shit out of another panel to get this in here. So I was always a fan of having things where I always say there's a panel between a panel if you're a good comic book reader. Like if you understand comic book flow, there's always panels in between panels that you're not seeing, but you as a reader will make that connection. when you read. When you're into a really good story, you're into it. Like that world is large, much larger than the pages that you have in your hand. You know, you're just immersed in it, right? So that's kind of what I'm shooting for. So yeah, I had to get rid of a panel too. Like he doesn't have to flip. He flipped in the last book. Okay, you know, flip it. Why don't you punch that guy and make him flip? Oh, there you go. That'll work.
It's funny. I hear everyone talk about their characters, and you know, Dennis and Jason especially, and Jerry. You can probably relate more to me, where I write everything out and I get everything drawn in. And then I was actually just talking to Brad, we're going to already start lettering this book before it even goes to colors, because it's a big book and we kind of want to be ahead of the game. But like when I'm doing the dialogue, especially having Terrell and Brad in there, I'll have an idea. And when I sketch stuff out, I'll even sketch out the dialogue from the game. Like you said this, or I might rearrange it a little bit to fit the panel. Right. And when we get to lettering, they're like, I wouldn't say that. Like, I just wouldn't say that. No. Or even like, they'll even talk about Austin and Kid and stuff. And they'll be like, no, I wouldn't say that. It'd be more like this. Mm. And what's funny is then we'll go to the final edit when we're going to actually the whole round table, right? And Austin just completely rips apart all the dialogue because he's like, I don't talk like that at all. And he'll just start spewing stuff at the mouth and we'll have to stop it. Okay, we're just going to stop you there and we're going to fix this. And in the first couple of books, again, I was like you guys, I was more in control of some of this stuff. And the more I brought them in, the more we enjoyed the final product. Allowing them to have a little bit of say what their characters do and say. And what's kind of cool is when we started the project, Kid was like, I don't want anything to do with the comic book. You just do whatever. I don't care. You have my recording. And now he's like, hey, can I be part of that?
Nice.
And so I'll call him. I'll be like, hey, I have this cool idea. When you did this, I kind of want your character to say this, because he didn't really role play the first few sessions with us. And if you play D&D and if you role play stuff, takes a little while for you to get into a character, but we're coming in 5 books strong. These characters are already established. Like Kid needs to, like, we need to be able to have dialogue for his character. And so I came up with this idea, and it's just like Bones is he's a quiet giant. And we've decided that because in our, when we're playing, Kid doesn't talk while we're playing. He sends GIFs and memes to our phones. And so Bones is going to be the guy that thinks a lot. And then you're going to see people's phones beep, and there's going to be like a message from him with a GIF that goes along with whatever's going on. That's kind of how
Genius.
And but I said, like, you know, there's this powerful scene for him, and it happened in game, but he just role played the action, didn't role play the dialogue. And he said, that's cool, but I would say it this way. And so that's what I really enjoy hearing you guys talk about. You know your character so well that you're afraid to let somebody else kind of read and be that character for a moment. I have the opposite. I have these cool ideas for characters, and I'm like, oh, this would be cool. And they're like, no, that sucks. You know, that's like me calling Jason, like, hey man, you should do this for the Convictor. No, I'm not even doing that. You know, and we're working on Caliber and the Convictor crossover, and I already know I am not doing any dialogue for Brad because he'll rip my head off. He's got to have his own dialogue. I can come up with some snarky ideas here and there, but they've got to do it. The only thing they let me do 100% was issue 0. Issue 0, I wrote from beginning to end, and I gave that to Nate. And I sent it to them first. I said, hey, what do you think of this? And all of them were like, wow, that's actually good. Yeah, we're just going to keep what you put. That's great. And I said, oh, that's cool. So I will take full writing credit for issue 0. You're welcome.
That's
but
awesome.
I think that it's admirable that you have a character you just won't give up. You just won't let somebody else touch. And being that I've read the first Convictor, and I edited a little bit, you know, because we can't have all that dialogue in one panel. That's that was the only thing I edited.
Because there was a lot of dialogue.
He gave me
my Dracula.
this big.
Not my Dracula.
Dialogue
yeah.
this.
Yeah. Well, I learned my lesson for this one. It was about the art. Yeah. So I give myself panel space.
Yeah. Every book that I've gotten, and I know Jerry, I've talked to you about this too. And I had to talk to this about like Jack. It's like the more dialogue you give me, the less art you're gonna have.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
now what I do is like with the script, like if I know where a caption box is gonna go, right? Like I look at the panel and I'm like, where would they not impact the art? So now when you get the script, it says caption box top left. Bottom right.
Perfect.
I bet
Thank
because
you.
I look at I'm like, where's the son bitch gonna go that doesn't impact what I'm putting? Yeah, I learned that too.
Yeah, I
You know
told
what,
you too.
my
That was
friend?
my biggest fear of
Yeah.
sending you my book to letter, because I was telling you, Chris, that Kenneth, gives out a lot of information about like where he's from, what's he doing, etc. So that was like my biggest
Have a good
fear
one, D.
about it. Later, D.
Later, D.
That was like my biggest thing about it. So that's why I was just like, yeah, Chris, I'll trust you. Like, whatever you feel that you can put these bubbles, I'm okay with it. So
I feel that in every book that I've touched, I have to make some edits, right? And I was talking to Dan about this. I believe it was last night. I've been so freaking busy lately. I forget when I'm doing what now. And I like, all right, so I'm a stickler for shapes, right? And if you have we are and we're will make the shape look better, because you got to think too, like the program, Clip Art Studio, when I type out, it will move the bubble. And so all of a sudden we have all this excess space because of one space. I'm gonna connect those two. I'm sorry, you're getting a we're not getting a we are here. I've been really nice with Kenneth, because Kenneth and I picture,
unless the character is a proper character, then you can't do it.
Yeah, Kenneth is a very proper character.
Like
So
Dracula,
try
you
not
can't do that.
to.
He doesn't say "were." He's Dracula. Everything's "we are." He talks in monologue.
I know. Yeah, I get it.
I'm just saying. It's, you have to realize the character, context of the character before you do that.
I did that a lot, but if you're screwing me up here, I'm gonna mess with your dialogue. I didn't touch your stuff at all because I made a couple changes, and you would like send it back. Nope, it's this. All right, dude, fine. But no, I really worked with shaping the dialogue bubbles, so we don't have all these misshapen things everywhere that take up unneeded space. And like with yours, working on your book is a lot different than working on Jason's book, because manga and anime style books call for different types of dialogue bubbles. I mean, you're never going to see me with the weird rectangular cutouts.
Yeah.
All right. My OCD, like I just can't. I can't. I was trying to like look at some of these, and I'm like, all right, nope. My style is this. If not, it's going to drive me nuts. But every book, you're going to have some pieces where, as a letterer, I also play second fiddle to kind of an editor, right? And I'm never going to do anything that's going to ruin your script, but if we can condense some of that, my ultimate goal is to always save the art. Okay, you've paid good money for an artist, or you've put a lot of time into your art. I don't want to take away from that aspect, right? Because when you pick up a book, do you pick up to see my lettering or the artwork of the characters? Right? They have to kind of like balance each other out. Unless you're Jason, and then I just do as you tell me to do. And every bullet has a noise. Every knife mark has a noise.
Hey, just that's because I operate in the real world. Every bullet has a noise.
We had like 92 pings in that book.
It wasn't a ping. It was a VIP. Right,
there we go.
All right, because it's hitting pallet crates and crates. They make a VIP sound.
I was like so after like the 10th VIP, I'm like, all right, man, I'm bored. I'm changing the way this looks.
Now if I go back, if I go back and look at the book, I'm like, this is kind of dumb.
I didn't say it.
I'm like, this is a little too much. But hey, things to avoid: excessive sound effects.
I seriously spent more time doing sound effects for your book than I did lettering your book. Yeah. And honestly, Jerry's book was going smooth until he threw sound effects at me.
Someone's got to talk for the convicted.
So. He sent me the script, and I'm like, okay, there are some people that don't put sound effects in their book because the reader can figure it out, right? And I send him the book, and I'm like 13, 14 pages in a day. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna fly through this one. And a few days go by, and he goes, so like there's no sound effects. And so he sends me all the sound effects. I'm like, that's like a day's worth of work. All right, and I apologize. You've seen the productivity go down a little bit, but I hand draw a lot of my stuff, right? I don't like using just text with maybe an effect on it. I'll be on the computer typing, and then I'll have the tablet next to me, and I'll be drawing the sound effects, and then I have to load it into Drive, and then mess with it. So it's quite a big process with the sound effects. That being said, thanks to this guy over here, I have like a plethora of sound effects to already choose from. So, but I do like to change some, so we're not like copy pasting from book to book.
You'll be happy. I drew in some of my own sound effects.
No, you didn't.
I did it in the last book too.
Some of them.
Some of them when it's really big and I know I can do it and it doesn't have an S on it because I hate drawing S's. They're just a pain in the ass. But yeah, they are just stupid. And it's a dumb looking letter. But anyway, yeah, so I did some stuff.
I complain, but honestly, like I do enjoy some of that stuff. Like
yeah.
And the challenge is there for me, and it is fun. I'm gonna give you shit forever about the we literally had to count, and I think I missed one, and he called me and he circled it and sent it back to me.
Oh my god, man. Don't fuck around, man.
I'm like, really? Like, and I think at that point too, I was
30 years, Chris.
Working, and I was so frustrated one day because he sent me back a page just because of one bit. I was like, really, dude? Okay.
30 years in the making, bro. I got every detail ready.
I understood it. I was, because again, when it came to my book, I forget that I have two other people that are sitting here putting their hands in it and changing everything. And there was one day when we were lettering, I got up and I walked out of the room because we were going back and forth on dialogue, and I was like, guys, I just don't give a shit anymore. You just fucking type it and I'm leaving. And they're like, what? I'm like, because we've changed this one page like 10 times. I'm done with it. Like, just figure out what you would say and be done with it. I have a recording of what you said, and you don't want that. Like, and then we get to so you guys have all read book 4. The part with the insert song was a fight first because we argued over which song was going to go there. I said, fuck it, we're putting insert song. And that like saved the whole day because that was the funniest thing I've ever done. And so there is some good stuff about having a team, but sometimes you just want to like reach through the computer and smack somebody in the face.
It's like too much information coming in. Too much information sometimes.
So Chris, better if I put in my own sound effects?
No. Go just put them in the if you can, go ahead and put them in the script for me. The only thing I ask Jerry to do next time is send me the sound effects, because if I don't see it, I'm not gonna put it there because I don't know if you want it there.
Yeah. What happened with me was that my artist, when she was doing the art, she also words the book, but she's also in the Philippines. So English is not really like her main language or anything. So, she speaks English, but, there's a lot of things that get missed. So there's a lot of things I have to go back and fix. So I said to myself, you know what? How about I just send it to Chris? Because obviously Chris will understand it better. So have him go over it and him do it, and that will save time on both ends. So I asked her to send me the artwork without the wording. I forgot to specify, keep the sound effects.
Now it makes sense.
So
I was so confused.
It's not until my wife pointed it out to me. My wife was like,
Chris, just insert your own sound effect.
Yeah, so my wife was like, I don't see the sound effects. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, I really enjoyed seeing the sound effects. And I looked and I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize she took out the sound effects too. So then I was like, yeah, Chris, hi. I need you to start.
Pyro punches somebody, Chris puts in kablooey.
Oh, you don't want to know what sound effects I would come up with.
A bazinga.
So I knew something was coming because you were like, so. I'm like, oh man. I was like, and it makes a lot more sense now too, because you send me her lettered pages, and the dialogue's completely different.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe you changed the script. And so like I was so confused when I'm looking at what she did, and then I was like, but this doesn't match the dialogue I have. Maybe he rewrote the script, and that's why. Oh man! But yeah, the day you said that, I was actually like, I had just finished everything. I sent it over to you, and I was like, hey, it'd been like 3 days since I talked to you, and I don't like moving forward until I get an okay on those pages, because if I have to go back and redo things, or say like I create a like Kenneth, right? I created text bubbles for Kenneth, and he's like, hey, you know, like it's supposed to be black. Okay, cool. I can go back. If I had lettered the whole book and I had to go back and change 30 pages, that's a lot of work. So I sent the first 5, and he's like, yeah, that's fine. Just change Kenneth to black. So I get black. We're in there, and I go in. I think I'm like 13, 14 pages in, and I send it to him again. I'm like, cool. A couple days go by. Nothing from Jerry. And I was like, oh man, either I screwed up real bad on these last few pages, or he's just been busy, but he saw my message, right? And so he's like, I'm like, hey, did you see those pages? He's like, so. He's like, so there's no sound effects. And I was like, you didn't give me any. Like I type what I see.
So I tell you, like Jerry, like I don't know if Dennis is in my scripts, like when I write them, right? It's like I usually have it depends how deep you want to go in your statement. If you just, I have one that I write for myself and one that is just for Chris the letter, because he doesn't give a shit about the atmosphere of, you know, whatever the panel is, right? So it's literally like I'll start it off with the characters, right? Like whoever characters, this character saying this character saying this, and then I'll have a next line underneath those 2 characters per panel. I'll have is say SFX for sound effects, and then I just write in the sound effects I want in there, and then I don't usually tell him where to put the sound effects because it's gonna go. That's his thing. And then if there's a caption like that needs to go in there, like a text box, I'll write that. I'll put insert or caption box, whatever you want to write. And then just what we were saying before, I'll say this is because I know the panel, I have the art in front of me. This is where I think it would look best. Now, granted, that's all up to interpretation, but so that way when he looks at like panel 1, page 1, everything's there. It's right there. And it just makes it a little bit easier. And then that way it's especially if you have a certain sound effect you absolutely want, you know, like a certain, you know, everyone has, there's lots of like I don't know how much times you can write the word blood splattering, but splurk. But there's a lot of that in this one, so I have to keep getting creative with it. Splitch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's a lot of that.
There's a book I am actually really excited to letter because I know I won't have any sound effects, and that's Nate's book because he draws all that shit in. Issue 0.
If I went digitally, I literally draw the sound effects in. Yeah.
Issue 0, I had 0 sound effects I had to do. He just drew them all in, and I've seen of Omen. He just draws all his own sound effects in. I was like, okay, at least I mean he knows what he wants. I'm not saying that it's good either way, but I just think it's funny how the difference in how some people do the work and some people don't. But with Dennis, since you're going to be sending me your script at some point, if you have a sound effect in mind, put it there. If you have artistically like it, and Jack did this too. Jack sent me examples of what he wanted this person's bubble to look like, or like he had the narration boxes, specifically how he wanted those done. I'm like, let me know, because like with Jason, we had to come up with the style for it. Was the first it was Hellwolf, because I lettered Hellwolf first before we even went into the book, because Hellwolf was done first, and so I had to like design the Hellwolf lettering boxes first, and then I just copy and pasted that throughout the entire book and, you know, edited it. So if you have ideas, send me the script and send me a separate file with like screenshots or whatever. Like you read a lot of comic books, just go ahead and take a picture and be like, I want this.
Smart.
That way I can do my best to mimic whatever that is.
I think one of the things with the sound effects, like I know the big ones, like I think one of the panels I sent over to you, pages, it had the roar from the kaiju. So I put that in there. And part of it was because I don't know if you guys have seen Suicide Squad, the last one from James Gunn. He would have the sound effects in the background, kind of, even if it was like Operation whatever, he would have that part of the picture. And I saw that and I was like, that's a genius, because that was actually something I was thinking of. I didn't know how to pull it off, and then I saw it on screen. I'm like, I want to pull those off. So at least for the big ones, like that was something I wanted to do and have them in there. But yeah, that's perfect. Where giving you examples, or I can see, like, I know for the most stuff it would be very basic, but I know Norman is definitely gonna be something I want to do differently because he's a dog talking, and I want his thought bubble to be very distinct, because there's panels where he's not on the page, but his thought bubble's there because he's speaking. So genius, good stuff.
That's like with Samedi. Samedi has his own style. And speaking of, I mean, this is information for anybody that is sending their stuff to somebody else. And, talk about things I learned. When I got my first colorist, I had no idea what to send her. And I was like, well, here's the art. And she goes, can you send me the script? And I was like, I don't have a script. What are you talking about? I listen to the audio, and I make the book on the audio. So I had to like script my entire book for her, because, I said, I've never written a script before. What do you need? And she's like, well, if you could give me the dialogue as well, and then give me the tone, that way I know what colors to use. If it's a dark room, this, I was like, oh, okay. So I had to do all that. And then so I learned my first book just by accident, by her asking me for that stuff, what to put in a script. And so anybody that's watching this, even though we're, chit-chatting about books and stuff that we're working on, this is good feedback for you as a first-time creator or anything like that, for when you send your stuff to somebody else, because I'm sure what Jason gives to Cristiano is different than what he gives to me, because he's got to set a tone for the colorist to know dark hues, light hues, is there a light over here that's busted, or is it bright and like those are things that a colorist needs to know. But another thing too, I heard a term today, James Gunnian style writing, because James Gunn has a very specific style to him. If you watch Guardians and then Suicide Squad, and the word was said that like Crit is a very James Gunnian style, and I was like, I'll take it. I'll
perfect.
Dude,
that's such a compliment.
Alone. I was like, that's a compliment. I don't care what the guy posts on Twitter. I think I really like. I loved Guardians first. This is probably my favorite MCU movie, Guardians 1. And,
really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I actually really am not a huge fan of the MCU as a whole. I think it's got its strong parts, but I think it really needs some work. Personally, that's a live in itself. But I liked Guardians because Guardians stood on its own. Okay, like it didn't have to be tied to anything else. It was just its own thing, and you had a lot of really good connection. And one thing that I know from writing a team book, it is really hard to write multiple characters and give them all the breathing room to grow on a page. And Jerry, you can relate to this. I'm seeing it in your book. Okay, I see how Pyro talks versus Hydro. Okay, and I see the dialogue changes between them and how the personality changes are there. It is really hard to take a team of heroes, and that's why I was actually reading something on this. What Marvel and DC, they actually pick different writers for specific reasons. Like this person's good at team books, whereas this person's really good at individual books. And you can probably attest to that as you guys write. Jason, you have a single character. It is very easy to focus on one character. Having to divide and then build those personalities can be tough, because now you've got, and then you're going to have your favorite, right? And you're going to be like, oh, this person needs to shine. And then does this person fall off the back? And for me, it's not really that bad of a struggle, because if you play the game, you're going to be in the book. If you don't, I'm going to dial you in for a moment. Nothing against Obi, but Obi had a bunch of personal stuff come up. He missed a bunch of games, so we had him just dial in on the phone. So the character still exists, but he wasn't playing, so I can't just write in stuff that he did. So I'm able to I have to balance that time. Every page I look at, I say, all right, these are my friends. They don't have a favorite. Which one did what? Okay, but which one deserves they all get shot, they all get beat up. If I was put that on every panel, it'd get boring. So who gets shot here? Who gets the punch here? Who gets those kind of things? And James Gunn is really good with these team style things. Even Peacemaker is a team. It's just, it's more about Peacemaker being won't go into it in case anybody hasn't watched it, but you need to.
I think it's really cool that Jason, if when Resurgence comes out, your character is so singular and the dialogue is like with purpose. And now you're going to be actually including the Trident Gang. It's almost like, you're including a team. Like it's not like a team book, but here you have all these different personalities, and I am pumped to see all these different personalities come through and how you're going to mesh it into one story against the Convictor.
I mean,
it's almost...
you think die was the word, right? You said die.
I think we're all waiting for them to die.
Yeah, but I just can't wait to see. No. I know you're going to be great with all their dialogue because each one has such personality. I can't.
Yeah, I know. Like Duke has the most dialogue, of course, and then second, like Draenok got a little bit more. Because he's their dialogue is very centered around their involvement in basically how I guess lack of a better term how they
die,
come off the chessboard. Yeah, and so it's kind of flows like that. Some of them don't really have a whole lot. Like I have like Brovet. He doesn't have a whole shit ton of. He's a asshole. He doesn't have a lot. So, but it's cool to handle because I have Psykill, who's is my favorite character of the Tridents. He's my favorite, and he still died. But he's my favorite. Yeah, he's my favorite, but yeah, like I like writing them because they're different ethnicities, they're different backgrounds, and I was very trying to what dialogue they do have. I try to make it show that you know what I mean. Like there's I have a really cool swerve heading towards the last couple pages that allows one of these members to shine a little bit more. That so I always try to have a swerve. Like I could try to have like Hunter's Moon. Hey, there's a couple swerves in it where it went one way but went another, and I try to do that with this. Like, so I have a member that gets a chance to shine a little bit more than you would anticipate. So there's a lot of that. So if they're not talking, their personality is absolutely showing in their actions. So I'm trying my best. Like I said, I'm really trying to. Hunter's Moon was a different book. I'm trying to top that book in a different manner, I guess. So. Yeah, Jerry laughs cynically. What's that? Yeah.
I like how you build up your enemies just so you literally can just murder them.
Oh, Dracula's still alive. Now, Dracula's still alive. Now, remind you, from Hunter's Moon, he's not dead. Well, at the time of Hunter's Moon, he's not dead. By the time of Resurgence, he is, in fact, might be. Yeah, that's a whole other story for another time. But,
speaking of villains, I'm actually going to put it on Instagram tomorrow for everybody. But I am announcing my my DTYS for the villains for book 5. We got enough heroes last time. And I haven't really seen a lot of on the villains, and the book really needs to focus.
I'm totally stealing your idea for my next.
Is it just DTYS?
What do you mean?
Or is it DTIYS?
DTIYS. Yeah, he just said it wrong.
Oh, okay.
I just said DTYS because I'm too lazy to say the other.
Well, he did say draw this your style.
Yeah, draw this your style.
We are Americans, so that's par for course that you're gonna take out a freaking vowel, in a word that needs a you don't need that.
I thought I was saying it wrong this whole time. I was
no, it's just me.
What? Okay.
DTYS. Do this in your own style.
No, pretty soon next time we talk is go draw this style.
Draw.
Yeah, draw. Just draw. Draw style.
Tomorrow. And it's partially because these villains have been around now for a few books. Actually, Zaka and one of them's been around since issue 0. And it's just time for them to shine before I kill them, because it's D&D and people ultimately have to die. So not everybody dies. I think one in particular has to die, just because even in real life, my characters hated the person it was based off of, and he was actually put in the book, so they would eventually kill him. But yeah, I'm going to announce it tomorrow. We've got the collector cards almost done for the Kickstarter already. Jay just sent me Vengeance, and then I think we have Trask, who is just the guy in the screen right now, but he is like a major player. Everyone's like, "Oh, the talking head." I'm like, "Yeah, that's who he is right now." He does have a physical body, I promise. He isn't just a lawnmower man. Don't worry. What was it? Max Headroom. There you go. Everyone asked me, "It's like,
yeah, I was
Nice.
a huge fan of Max Headroom.
yeah, I used to
I
watch a
love
lot of
the
Max
TV
Headroom."
show. I love the pop culture of it, all of it. He was
Well,
everywhere.
When I was doing like Siege, I didn't want just like this dude on a screen, right? Because then it just kind of got boring. So
Arnon Zola.
yeah, like exactly. Like I wanted
Yeah.
that like head floating around, and I thought of Max Headroom, and how his like head was just always bobbing around.
We're so old. Oh my god.
Oh man, I love Max Headroom. I would wear a
Right?
Max Headroom shirt right now if I had it. Max Headroom was dope as hell.
He had an awesome haircut. It was like kind of like
Yeah,
Vanilla
it was a
Ice.
plastic helmet. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, it was cool as hell.
Speaking of Vanilla Ice, I want to create a character based off of Vanilla Ice with that really long top hair that seems to be in right now. Not gonna lie, but I think it's cool.
This dude is ugly as shit.
Chocolate Frost.
Chocolate Frost.
That's good.
That's good. So we're hitting like the 2-hour mark.
Yeah,
Dennis literally drove home just to get on this thing. So I would say it's probably a good time for us to start wrapping up. Thank you everybody that's kind of stayed with us and hung out with us while we talked some shit.
Absolutely.
So Dennis, since you were late to the party,
Yeah, man.
just recap real quick. If you were to give one piece of advice walking away to someone either starting their first book or starting their first Kickstarter, doesn't have to be either one. Just one piece of advice for a new creator.
Out of the 3 I gave, I'd probably go with number 2, and that's just have an editor. And it's part of number 3 where you have people who can give you the tough talk, whether you're doing something wrong or if you could do something better or to keep you on top of your game. That would probably be my number 1 thing, having that person behind you who has a fresh set of eyes and can give you some really hard feedback. And you take that, not someone who's invested in you, but someone who's invested in your success. So I would say some kind of editor or a support group that can give you that really tough talk. Number 1.
And where can people find you, Dennis?
So DR Valencia Designs on Instagram, Celestial Knight. So far, the book is 32 pages, drawn, inked. I'm in the coloring phase now. 10 out of the 32 are done. I'm pumping this out. I have a deadline. Speaking of cons, Chris, I don't know if you saw one of the cons we were going to party at got pushed back to October.
Oh.
Ugh. Yeah, dude. So it's actually the one.
Yeah,
it's the 23rd. It's the weekend before the one where we all wanted to kind of meet up. So I'll send. I don't know if you got the email, but I'll send it to you. But
yeah,
40's off. I'm working.
Yeah, it's really bad timing, and I'd already requested off, so I got to figure that out. But I'll see how we can figure that out. But yeah, DR Valencia Designs on Instagram and Celestial Knight. I'm trying to drop one little bit of content, at least 1 or 2 every week. I don't want to give away too much. I know I've been holding everything close to the vest, but at the same time, I'm so pumped on doing some really cool stuff, and I want to show it off. But at the same time, I just got to pull it back. Actually, if we could ever do another live, maybe we can get you guys on. I'd love to get your feedback on what you're putting out there, what you're not putting out there, character reveals you guys want to do, or how you're holding it back. Like, I look at my campaign, I had 100 backers, 106. I don't want to show too much because I want to really enjoy it and feel special for supporting me. But at the same time,
the same way.
Yeah, but to grow my channel, I want to put out more stuff. But, that's why the last post I put out was a long shot of this splash page of the Kaiju and CK. And I struggled with it. Do I put it out? Do I not put it out? I wanted to wow everyone who gets the book. But at the same time, I'm trying to grow my fan base and my channel. So next time, maybe we can have a chat about that or get you guys on. I'd love to get your feedback.
I'm always down to chat. You know that.
Yeah.
And real quick, any dates after April 18th, I'm good. After April 18th, I don't work again until December. So
Nice.
yeah, blessed on this new one. So, but keep me updated on that, please. Jerry.
Yep.
Your number one feedback.
My number one thing, I guess, would be keep track of your backers, people you sell to. You know, you want to make an email list, a contact list of those people, and continuously give them timely updates so they don't forget that you exist, so they can continue to be familiar with you and want to support you. So I think that's one of the big things, that especially if those that are running through Kickstarter, you know, you always want to keep those backers that back you before. You always want to try and keep them coming back for more. So I think that's very important to do.
Awesome.
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at E4 Comics. You can check out the website, www.e4comics.com. My Kickstarter drops next week, Thursday the 17th, called Burden of Truth, my second issue. One of the great things about this issue is that I've partnered up with a group called Comic Book for Kids, that for a lot of those people that backed me in the first project that may not be too into comics, they can now back this. There's 3 ways you can help with this fundraiser. 1, if you back with no rewards, that funds will go into ordering more books to send to that organization. 2, I have a tier specifically where you can pick that tier and it says or sends a certain amount to that organization. 3, it's also an add-on. So any tier you pick, if you want to add another book or a couple of books to send to them, you can also do that. So any little bit helps with this Kickstarter. So I can't wait for it to launch. Like I said, one of the tiers I've created is challenge coins, different coins for each character.
I love challenge coins.
Exactly. So I definitely can't wait to put that out there.
I'm sure you get a few from your.
Oh yeah, that's what gave me the idea.
That's exactly
what gave me the idea.
That's a good idea.
So hopefully, like I said, you know, we want to start the SSB card collection. If we eventually start doing cards, maybe we can also jump into the coin thing as well. So
like a Hallmark.
Maybe I'll just have to steal that from my Kickstarter.
So,
yeah.
Awesome. So I'm going to elaborate and consolidate at the same time on my feedback is be prepared and don't be afraid to fail. I have multiple times fallen flat on my face, and it happens to every single creator on here. You hit a point in your creative process where you think you're doing great and you just slam into a wall. You know, every one of us could tell you a story about in our process something that had gone wrong multiple times. It's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. And if you let that impact you in a negative way, it's only going to hurt your creative process even further. So it happens. You pivot. You move on. Be done with it. Don't let it hold you back. Don't let it ruin your time. Don't let it make you depressed. I have heard nothing but from creators of all times, okay, from new creators to creators that have been doing this for 10 years, where they hit this point where things just didn't go the way they expected it, and it made them step back. Maybe they stepped back from doing something they loved because of this one thing. It's going to happen. Okay, you're going to have someone that doesn't fulfill what you expected on time. You're going to pay someone for work that you never get. You're going to cold launch every Kickstarter you ever have, and cross your fingers that it works. So be prepared for that. And the way to prepare for that is to surround yourself with a great group of people that are always there to help pick you up when you fall, because you're going to fall. It's going to happen. And anyone that Nick just posted, it just chimed up the next thing on me. But be prepared, surround yourself with good people, because that's what's going to help you stand up when you fall down. And as far as where you can find me, homebrewedcomics.com. has all my social links, all that fun stuff. You can find me usually on Instagram the most. I'll post on Facebook occasionally, Twitter. I just got it, and I kind of figure out how to use that every once in a while, so you'll see something on there. My 6th book, Intestinal Fortitude, launches March 2nd. It is the book 0 through 5. I will have the first chapter trade paperback. I will also have 4 different covers of issue 5 for everyone to pick from. Some great ones in there. I am beyond proud of the covers for this book. And Mr. Mo is almost done with the trade paperback cover, which is going to be badass.
Yeah.
So, March 2nd. The link is on my website. The link is on my Instagram. I will be announcing some cool stuff tomorrow to go along with it. And I just want to thank everybody for their time tonight.
Nice.
Oh yeah, me. What have I learned? What piece of advice? Best piece of advice I can give? Properly estimate your output. All right, that is huge, and I'm literally coming to you from a place of experience with this. Absolutely take a hard freaking look, realistic approach on what your output is versus your work-life balance and everything else that you got obligated to do with your life and then you should be doing. Look at that and then adjust accordingly. That is the best piece of advice I could give. And who's giving the advice? Jason Farrow. You can follow me on Instagram, The Convictor, or Facebook, The Convictor, Convictor Comics, convictorcomics.com, Farrow's Creative Studios. Yeah, I can go on and on. Where you can find me next. Right now, I am currently 4 pages out from completing the pencils on Resurgence. I am in the home stretch. I am 2 pages away as a giddy schoolgirl to draw literally the thing I've went this whole book to draw. my main villain. I literally went through this book just so I could draw him and bring him into everyone's psyche.
Nice.
But so I'm pretty excited for that. A good portion of my pages are out for color right now, and so yeah, we're moving along pretty good. And other than that, you can find me February 27th. I'll be here in Jersey in a place called Swedesboro at the Holiday Inn for a little con called Nerdfest. I will be Artist Alley there, February 27th, and Holiday Inn in Swedesboro. So if you're in the area, stop in and say hello. I will have Hunter's Moon comic and some witty repartee probably. But yeah, that's me. That's stuff. All right,
one last question that came in real quick.
Okay, let me throw it up. Give me 1 second.
Yep. Let's go ahead and answer that. So main cons, I don't really have any mains that I go to. Any that will accept me right now. I just want to get my foot in the door, and I'd love to go to Cali. At the same time, I'd be afraid to go to Cali sometimes. But that's like a 30-hour trip for us.
Have you died on the West Coast yet?
Yeah, right.
So I'm just saying. I mean, silver linings and all that. Like, I mean, you could just go, right? Yeah, that's so. All right.
Yeah, let's just go to West Coast so I can die on the West Coast. We'll add that to my resume of places that I've been clinically pronounced dead. I'll answer this question. I have a cons I go to. I have a mom and pop con that they run a couple times a year. Matter of fact, this Nerdfest I was just talking about is also run by them. Really great. Jerry and I did a show at one of them. I'll do anything they're doing. And I also have they're not cons, but they're art walks here close to my area. I will always do those if I'm available to. Those ones I literally aim for because I just have a good time doing them. So but Cali, not yet. Maybe one day. So what about you, any boys? Dennis, Jerry?
I'll be honest with you, I haven't even focused much on it. On the con, I did apply for New York City Comic Con. I apply every year just to see, get a chance to do it. But definitely something that big, I don't want to walk through that door with just one book. So definitely if I do that,
sure. That's why I never applied. Yep, I want to have.
So if I do that, it has to be like an SSB event.
Oh, right.
So if I can get in, then perfect.
New York Comic Con is literally on your weekend off. every year because I look at it and it's on my duty weekend, and I'm like, well, some bitch, guess I'm not going because I might be off in 36 hours of vacation to go. All right.
I got South Carolina Comic-Con. I got to look at the dates. I think that was the one, Chris, in April. I'm a big, you know me, I'm the biggest fanboy. I think the last post they did yesterday was Matt Hardy was there. I lost my shit. I was like, oh shit.
Oh, I worked the car. I worked the car with Matt Hardy.
There you go. I was like, that
one of my
Mike
last
Grell's
on my retirement tour. It was one of the last cards I booked. Matt Hardy was there. Yeah.
How good? Yeah. So like, aside from sharing a table with Chris, hopefully, just some cool people. A big con for South Carolina. So South Carolina Comic-Con, and then the one that I know that was postponed till October was Queen City Comic-Con. So I got to look at that. I got to see what the lineup is, but that one was pushed back. I think it's the weekend of April 23rd. And then I know all of us were trying to get aim for that Halloween weekend. I know it's a hard one at the end of October to end our year out straight. I would love to go to California. I know D's out there. I would love to go, share a table with D and do our thing. I know a CK Kid Nebula team up is in the works. It's
distribution in California too.
It would be.
We're in a lot of stores in California, so
perfect. Yeah, so for me, like, it's definitely my goal. I'd love to hit Cali. My best friend lives out there. He's a struggling actor. I love that kid. But for me, it's definitely on my to-do of getting out there and kind of getting that West Coast representation, at least as far as my OCs go.
I got a huge.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's California is always tough for the struggling people. I tried to live there once. I lasted 3 months before I went broke.
Speaking of D, when I do that little at work thing, I draw that little space adventure at my job. I put that little thing in there. D sent me a message. He got such a pop because I put the Borealis Brigade thing in there.
So good.
Yeah, I was just messing around, but yeah, he thought it was awesome. Love those Easter eggs. So. All right, episode 15, pretty awesome. We are way under time.
Stopping in, everybody.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys.
Until next time, Gadget.
See you guys. Everyone, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it, and really enjoyed all the comments. And once again, I think we're shooting for our next one March 11th because we promised to do these monthly.
Yep.
So that's the plan. All right, everybody. I will see you
March 11th. Get on here and promote your Kickstarter.
March 11th. Boom.
Yep.
We might be able to do it sooner too. We'll see. We'll work it around. All right. See you later.
Later, guys. Thank you.